So it's ribbing time. Let's start some ribs according to the book. So for the first one-on-one rib, we wanted to select the buttons, get the stitch out to 1. The selection knob is on 0, and here it's also 0. And the needle bed gap size is on 5. So I selected every other needle on the opposite side on the front bed. And these are 11 needles, each activated on each end. So let's give it a first stitch. That looks wrong. It's actually the tension is much too strong because I routed the yarn around my cell phone and the cell phone actually caught it. So let's try that again. This time the yarn is not routed around the cell phone and it should have the right tension. Now it looks like a nice zigzag. That's how it's supposed to look. So next I'm opening that comb and insert it here so it's about equally balanced. Same amount of yarn left and right, roughly speaking. Zip. And here it hangs. Next thing is I hang a weight on it outside the camera. So now I change the front and the back to round knitting and the stitch size to 3. So it does the back and the front. Then the instruction says to put it on regular knitting and change the stitch size to 1. I leave the stitch size at 3 because my yarn is a little thicker. What a disaster. I tried to take it off the machine. I forgot to remove the weight, so everything fell down right away and partially untangled itself. So next time when I try to do that, remove that thing first. The result is pretty firm. Out of the 12 needles on each side, I gained about 2.5 inch and I can stretch it to about 4.5 max. Overall, it looks nice, but I think the other ribs look nicer. So let's do the double-sided fisherman rib and follow the instructions. It seems to start like the other one rib. So let me fast forward and skip that part. Then they say to push both buttons at the same time. That button and the round knitting button at the same time. I never tried that. So, and here. And add 3 to the stitch size, do a stitch size 1 plus 3, so that would be 4. Not sure why they have to tell it that complicated. Let's try. This is about 3 inch wide and I can stretch it to 5.5 inch. I think it also looks very appealing, so this might be one of my favorites. Now to the 2x2 simple rib. That little selector is moved to the right and the big selector also 1 notch to the right. So the needles are now offset by a bit, so they won't collide. And I basically selected 2 needles are deselected, 2 more needles, 2 deselected. And on the other hand, on the front side is where the first needle is on the back side, and then we have the 2 needles that come up on the front side, and it's 2 selected, 2 not selected. The start seems to be similar to the 1 rib or the same. Stitch size selector on 1, regular knitting, same thing on the other side, and let's give it a push. And it has a funny looking, instead of being a zigzag, it is basically now 3 straps with 1 zig. Looks cool. Now it says to push that middle layer to the left again, And they say to go 2 notches to the left, puff, puff, and then, no, I went one time, not too much. So now the 2 activated needles from the front, they here find the empty place in the back. Cool, so try. Next we do the round knitting thing. Zip and zip. I guess we'll be using the regular stitch button. And here size 3, and let's give it a try. Nice. My first 2-2 rib. It's about 1.5 inch wide and can be stretched up to 3.5 inch. Looks nice. Cool. Also the other side looks nice. I like it. Now the industrial rib, which is like the 2x2 rib, but only one needle is deselected. So also like 3 stripes and 1 zack. Not bad. But I guess on the very left it pulled the needles a little bit funny, so let me pull them a little back so it looks about the same. And add the comb and weight. Now with the weight added, we do the round knitting thing. And this time we leave the intermediary level, we just do the racking level 1 notch to the left. So the needles stand in a certain position according to the manual. Go back to regular needle selection. Change the stitch style back to 1 according to the instruction. And go for it. My weight came up a little bit. Now I'm having trouble. I guess stitch size 1 is too tight. So let me try that rib again. This time I have stitch size 4 because 1 was way too tight. Four went pretty tough. Let me go up to 6. Now I'm on stitch size 6. Oh no, my roll of yarn got tangled and blocked everything. 3rd time is the charm. Let's try it again. So here's the industrial rib. Looks very nice. It's about 3 inches long and I can stretch it to about 6 inches. Nice. I think the fisherman rib is my favorite, but I also like the industrial rib. The 1x1 rib is probably best to use for small sizes like for babies and little kids.